What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to basketball. More importantly, welcome back to another mock draft, but this time a little bit different than how we've been doing it. Up to this point, we've been looking at Bleacher Report every other week to be like, hey, who are they kind of saying are the top players, right? We haven't been very concerned with like, okay, which player's going to which team. We've more so just been talking about like, okay, who's the best player, and then we kind of work our way down from there in our evaluation. But today, I'm going to do things a little bit different. You'll see we're actually on Fanspo here, and we're on a draft lottery simulator, because here's what we're going to do. There's about 20 games left in the NBA season around kind of that point, and I'm like, okay, it's time to actually start thinking about fit, right? Where do players actually fit in terms of a draft, right? Because let's just take Jakucionis, for example. A lot of us kind of have him at like number 5 on the board, but depending on who the 5th pick is, he might not actually go 5. It feels like the first 4 are pretty set in stone, and you can just make the justification that these are the best 4 players, but after that, things go a little bit more up in the air. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my own mock draft today. I'm going to take all the players, I'm going to put them where I think they should go depending on how we actually do in this simulator. So on Fanspo, they've got this draft lottery simulator. It'll simulate the lottery for us, and then we're going to use that draft order, because this is what actually happens, right? We have to go through a lottery. The Wizards might have the worst record, but they might not get a great pick. They might fall all the way to 5. You can fall that far, and that would be really sad if that happened to the Wizards. But for all the top talent, they'd probably be pretty excited about that. So we'll take whatever happens in this mock draft right here. We'll throw it into an actual draft, and then we'll start assigning players there. We'll probably just do the first round, but that's what I'm thinking. And for those of you that are new to the channel, welcome, thank you. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and comment. I respond to every single comment to my YouTube channel, and I've done it up to this point. I'm going to keep on doing so, so please go leave me a comment. I think it's a lot of fun to interact with you guys in the comments. And just for a little bit of background on me, former still involved, I'll say, in some odd ways in a lot of the draft process and player development, whether it's like college or the NBA. That's just kind of my area of expertise, and so I like to think that there's a nice value proposition on the channel here. But just taking a look at like the draft order, this is the current lottery. This is where things stand as of right now. Washington here, Utah, Charlotte, New Orleans, those are the top 4 teams, and only the top 4 picks are done through the lottery, so just so that you're aware. We then have the Toronto Raptors, the Brooklyn Nets, who I know like all these guys want to get in. The Oklahoma City Thunder are here, which is it's pretty crazy. The Thunder just continue to win. My Chicago Bulls, I would love to see them jump up in the standings. The San Antonio Spurs, if they somehow jumped up and added to their talent pool, that'd be crazy. The Portland Trailblazers, I'm sure their fans are kind of like, oh, it'd be nice just to be up there at this point. But, you know, that's where they found themselves. The Miami Heat, the Houston Rockets, because they have the Phoenix pick. Oh, Phoenix, you're not in a very good spot right now. It's not great. The Dallas Mavericks, at least you've got your first round pick, and the Atlanta Hawks actually from the Sacramento Kings. By the way, you might see more cuts than normal in this video. I'm pretty under the weather as of right now, so I got to stop blowing the nose, all that fun stuff. Just looking outside there, we have another San Antonio pick. We've got Orlando, another Oklahoma City pick, because just crazy. The Minnesota Timberwolves from the Detroit Pistons still got a nice pick in there. Utah, Miami, again, Indiana, and then we have a plethora of Brooklyn picks. Brooklyn is starting the rebuild this year. Hopefully, they get a high pick, and then they've got 3 other first-round picks. Just looking here, looks like Boston will have 2 first-round picks in here. Brooklyn's then got a high second-round pick as well. Maybe some of those get traded. Maybe they don't. I wonder if we'll simulate any trades or anything in this video. That might be something that we do as well, depending on where the picks land, but for the time being, this is what we got. So without further ado, let's hit this button. I've got it set to dramatic, so we can actually go and see like in slow motion where everybody's going to be. So this is supposed to be, who was it? It's Atlanta, right? Okay, so Atlanta stays there. They don't make any jumps whatsoever. Dallas is staying put as well. Looks like Houston is. The Miami Heat. I honestly don't remember the order after this point, so we're going to have to see what ends up happening here. The Spurs are going to be there at number 9. I believe everything is still in order up to this point. My Bulls are staying put. How boring. The Thunder, I don't think anybody's moved yet. Oh, New Orleans, they dropped 2 picks, so somebody moved up that I missed. Charlotte dropped down 2, so 2 teams did. Utah drops down 2. Who moved up? Washington got the 3rd. Oh, no. Brooklyn does move up, and then Toronto gets the 1st overall pick. Oh my goodness, Canada, stand up. You're about to get the coldest white boy you've ever seen. That is too perfect. That is too perfect. All right. So that's what we got. Now, we use this in a mock draft. We load this into Fanspo here. I'm going to control all the picks, and I think that's all we need to do. I'm going to use the Fanspo consensus big board here. Is there anything else that I need to set about this before I go in? It doesn't look like it. I think we're good. Alrighty, so now we're actually here kind of in the draft room, if you would. And so Fanspo has a bunch of different things that kind of helps us take a look at the team as a whole, which I think is a lot of fun with this. Spoiler alert, the first overall pick isn't going to be that interesting just because the Toronto Raptors jumped up in this situation. But let's take a look around, right? Some of the things you can see on Fanspo, team needs. They're saying point guard, they need some help. Shooting guard, they need some help. Those are probably both pretty accurate. They feel pretty good about the small forward spot. I would say so, at least, right? I mean, you got Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, like kind of can fill those spots. I'm not sure I'd call it high. The power forward spot, again, you got Scotty Barnes, you got guys like Brandon Ingram, so I wouldn't trip about it too much. And then the center position is could be rough for them with if they do something with Jakob Poeltl in the offseason. But I don't think they're gonna overthink this. I know they have Brandon Ingram. I know they have Scotty Barnes. I know they have RJ Barrett. They're still going to take Cooper Flagg with this pick. He's the best player in the class, most likely going to be the first overall pick. I don't think there's anything to trip about there whatsoever. We can see the full mock draft down here below. Now, if you wanted to, you could take a look at like the whole salary cap projection, the rest of the picks that are coming up, the current roster, a depth chart based off cap or stats. It's pretty cool, right? But Cooper Flagg, he's going to go number 1 overall. If somebody has the opportunity to do so, they'd rather just move an RJ Barrett or maybe Brandon Ingram. Again, I doubt it, but they can just roll out the lengthiest lineup of all times and just ask questions later. He's probably going to be better than all of them, so you just take him on the team and figure it out. Now, Brooklyn with the 2nd overall pick. I think in this situation, Brooklyn probably just goes with like get best player available, right? They're starting their rebuild. They need somebody to start their rebuild. And thankfully they held on to Cam Johnson and Nick Claxton, we presume, at least in this simulation. So they're looking at it and they're like, we could take a point guard. He's going to have some guys to work with right away. He's going to have a nice lob threat. He's going to have kind of a go-to scorer that he can go to. Cam Johnson, not an elite scorer, but a pretty good one in terms of like NBA standards. So I think you take the Dylan Harper. He's your franchise point guard going forward. He's going to get the ball plenty to start his career, but still have plenty of support around him. So we're going to pick Dylan Harper with this pick. Now the Wizards are on the clock. The Wizards, despite having another just atrocious season, just can't get that first overall pick. I'm so sorry, Washington. The good news is in terms of my evaluation, I've still got one of the best players in this class on the board in Ace Bailey. I think he's a future All-NBA player, and if you were to ask me, I think I like him the most out of anybody on the board. I really, really do, and you're actually starting to see some NBA players agree with my opinion on that, and here's the thing. Cooper Flagg's better right now. Dylan Harper's better right now. Ace Bailey's still really, really good. I think we just look at his athleticism combined with like his shot making ability, and we see the higher ceiling with this guy. I think we see, okay, wow, elite athlete, somebody that's 6'10" and this young, you're still just growing into your body a whole bunch. He's going to get more athletic, he's going to get more coordinated, going to add even more to the handle, but you already have like this elite shot making. I'm like, wow, this could be something crazy. So again, fit doesn't matter right now. They don't have anybody that's really worth building around on this team. I mean, we like Alex Sarr on the roster, which is awesome. So Alex Sarr is going to get a new guy to play with. You can have a very lengthy team that could have a lot of defensive potential. So they're going to take Ace Bailey with that pick. Now we got the Utah Jazz on the clock. And again, I think the first 4 picks are kind of just set in stone at this point. You guys have heard me say on the channel, the top 3 guys are the top 3 guys. Put in whatever order you want. In like a middle tier below them is VJ Edgecombe, in my opinion at least. Like, I still think he's got as much potential as a lot of them. I just think it's going to be a little bit harder to actualize, but I still see this guy as like a potential future all-star player. I think that's how talented he is. The shot making, the defense, the crazy athleticism that he has. I just think it's awesome. I think Utah says, okay, you know what? We didn't get one of the top 3 picks. That's fine. This is still a guy that's worth building around for us. We built around a Donovan Mitchell before. We can do it with VJ Edgecombe. He's going to have guys like Lauri Markkanen on his team, Walker Kessler right away. They've got other young guards that they're kind of messing with still that they'll see, like, is there a long-term fit there? Maybe they're going point guard in next year's draft. This is kind of the first year of their rebuild if you were to ask them as well. So I think with this pick, the Utah Jazz are going to take VJ Edgecombe. Here's just a review of the draft up to this point. Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, VJ Edgecombe. No surprises there. But now this is where things get a little bit interesting, right? We've got the Charlotte Hornets on the clock with the 5th pick. If you were to look at the Charlotte Hornets, you say, okay, what are they doing with LaMelo Ball, right? Are they moving LaMelo Ball in the offseason? I think it's probably on the table. They've also got Brandon Miller, who he's worth building some things around, for sure. But now here becomes, like, the bigger question, right? Obviously, the Hornets tried to move on from Mark Williams this season. That didn't end up working out, right? For reasons that we all got to pay attention to. I can't imagine that they don't try to do it again. It's just an awkward situation now. They tried to appeal it even to be like, hey, no, this trade needs to go through. So I think that it's safe to say they're going to try to move Mark Williams. So what happens then? I'm going to assume that there's some sort of deal in place to where Mark Williams moves. And I think who they're going to take is Kaman Maluach here from Duke. So another Duke guy off the board. I think you look at Maluach and you see the defense is already just insane. You can tell from the beginning of the year till now, a guy that doesn't have a ton of basketball experience is really starting to pick it up. I've seen a little bit of the jump shot. I know there's a lot of rumors that there is a jumper in there. Duke just doesn't really let him use it. I watch it, and it looks pretty smooth. I think that we could have something there at some point. But otherwise, you have 7'2", 250, crazy reach, crazy athleticism for his size. I think that's your center for the future. Hopefully a healthier option than Mark Williams. So I think you move Mark, you try to get something else. Maybe LaMelo still moves, and you get some sort of assets for him. But I think in this scenario, they're going to take Maluach with that one. All right. On to the Pelicans. This is an interesting one. So I feel like the Pelicans are going to be in this like semi-retooling phase this offseason. I don't know what they do with DeJounte Murray. That's a bit of a question, right? I also think that there is just a lot of questions as to like, how do you build around Zion correctly, right? And I think one thing that could really help this team is installing somebody that could really facilitate between all the really solid talent that they have on this roster. You have Zion, CJ's probably still on the team and he can do some things. Herb Jones and Trey Murphy are still on the squad, right? And they can do a lot. Jordan Hawkins can be a bucket getter for you as well, right? So I don't think Jakucionis falls any further than where he already has at 6. Like I said, I had him at 5, or I have him at 5 on my like current big board, but I don't think he falls any further than this in this scenario. I think the talent's undeniable. He's the best playmaker in this class. The passing is really elite, runs the pick and roll well, sees every cut ever, and that just sounds awesome with Zion, and he can space the floor at the point guard spot. I think the Pelicans just kind of say, we're going to take Jakucionis and figure it out from there. All right, now we've got the Thunder on the clock. All right, Thunder fans, you guys are spoiled. You guys are absolutely spoiled. I can't believe you find yourself in this situation right here where you can have a top 10 pick with this roster that you already have. So what do? Right? You look at this team. They got Shea, they got Hartenstein, they got Dort on the roster still. Like, this team has everybody, right? They got Chet, Isaiah Joe's a nice player for them. Like, J-Dub, obviously, like, all-star level good. You got Caruso. Everything's pretty much filled out on this position. I think what a lot of people would say, though, is that they could use a lengthier wing to have on the team, and so Tre Johnson is appealing in that sense. He also doesn't do a lot of good unless he can actually have the ball and he can get shots for him, right? Because we've said before, this is tall Cam Thomas. That's what he's here to do, is be tall Cam Thomas. And I think about that, and I'm like, okay, does that fit into what the Thunder are actually doing? Or do we look at someone more like an Asa Newell, who maybe could play the 4 spot for them as well? I mean, he's listed as a power forward. I think he's going to be more of an NBA center, personally, because I don't see him being able to guard like NBA wings that well when they move down to the 4 spot, but I think his athleticism's nice. I think he can step out and hit, which is cool. Maybe this team just wants to have the depth because, look, when Chet or Hartenstein go down, which they've gone down a decent amount over the season, Hartenstein's honestly been pretty reliable, but check goes down sometimes. Maybe they'd just rather have an Asa Newell, right? Maybe. They also have the 17th pick, and maybe they can look to a wing more so there, but we start to look down and the bigs start to disappear just a little bit more. So I think what maybe we do, because again, let's just take a look down the board. Like maybe that's when an Essengue comes in, or like a Hugo Gonzalez. Those are guys you could look at. Maybe that's who we look to. Maybe a McNeeley falls that far. That'd be a great get for them. So I think they're just going to take the size with this one. I think they take Asa Newell, who comes off the bench for them. He's going to be a lob threat, hopefully able to space the floor. Hopefully another big man that can like be another distributor, because we've seen a little bit of passing out of him. So I think that'd be good. I think that'd be good for them. All right, Chicago, we're on the clock. Who do we got here? I'm not going to lie. Asa Newell would have been a nice pickup for them. He would have been a nice pickup. Anybody that I would want the Bulls to get at this point is gone. It's sad. They're gone, and I'm just, again, going to be sad, and we just need to rebuild for another season. The Bulls need just about everything. Lonzo Ball and Josh Giddey are awesome. Like, Josh Giddey obviously killing it as of right now. He's the one guy on the team that I'd say just don't trade him. The rest of them are kind of up for grabs. I know Gonzalez he's here. I don't think he's worth necessarily building around and thinking about like that much. I think he's just a piece that if he develops into something great, if not a big deal. I like Jalen Smith a lot. I like Lonzo Ball a lot. Tre Jones is fun. Kobe White's cool. Again, nobody worth really building around. I think you take the upside of a Tre Johnson, who, look, again, kind of a Cam Thomas type guy. I personally think he's going to excel more so in like a 6-man type role, but putting scorers around Giddey is always a good thing, and this guy is, and it just probably he's just probably the most gifted scorer in the class, so maybe you just hope that turns into something more sustainable at an NBA level, to where he's not just a shot chucker. He develops more in his game. He's gonna have people setting him up constantly, so I think you just take that, you roll with the potential right here if you're the Chicago Bulls, and just kind of go from there. And now we've got the Spurs on the clock. Okay, Spurs. What are we doing with you guys? We've got Knueppel here. He's the top guy left on the board. Duke, wing, shooter, sounds like something that this team could use right now. They got Fox at the guard, right? And they got Wemby. That's awesome. That's what we want, right? Devin Vassell should still be a nice wing player for us. Keldon Johnson, there's a lot of good and bad with him. You still have Harrison Barnes for another year. Stephon Castle's going to be a good ball handling kind of 2-guard for you, most likely, is kind of where I see him fitting long-term. Maybe Vassell even becomes expendable at the end of the season. Just, again, we have to really believe in the jumper for Stephon Castle. But otherwise, not a lot going on out there right now. I know a lot of Spurs fans start to think, oh, I'd like a power forward that's not named Jeremy Sohan, right? Sohan's really cool defensively. We'd like him to take a little more 3-pointers, right? So we could take a look around. I mean, Colin Murray-Boyles is certainly not the option here. Maybe a Liam McNeeley, just because he falls into more of that forward role. Maybe. I don't think you need another ball handler in Igor over here. Is that actually how you say his name? I don't actually know if that's how you say his name, but I could see a McNeeley here. I really, really could, because again, he's going to know NBA systems already coming from UConn. The Duke guys will as well, but you might just have more at the guard spot right now, and you might want someone that could be more of a 3 or a 4 on this roster, so I could totally see that. I know Rasheer Fleming is somebody that people would want me to consider here. I don't think the Spurs reach that much to go get him. They also do have the 16th pick as well, so maybe he's still available at that point. So I think with this pick, I'm actually going to go McNeeley here. I think they go with the shooting. I think they go with someone that could play more of a forward role for them at 6'7", space the floor. He can be a guy you could throw in at power forward sometimes next to Wemby, keep the ball movement going and provide a little bit of spacing. I like that. Portland. All right, Portland, what do we got here? Is Anthony Simon still on this team by next year? I hope not. I certainly hope not for his sake. Hopefully you move on from DeAndre Ayton and Jeremy Grant so you can prioritize guys like Denny, Scoot Henderson, Donovan Clingan. Like, those are probably the main guys. Shaden Sharp is very interesting. He has those scoring outbursts at times. But how can we support Scoot Henderson, Denny, Donovan Clingan? It's probably get some smart people around them that can space the floor. This feels like a nice Knueppel pick right here. I think we keep it simple. A guy that should be a feisty defender. Even if he's not the most naturally athletic, he's going to be very feisty. We've seen that. Can handle the ball a little bit. I wouldn't expect him to do a ton at the NBA level, but again, just running off screens, being an elite shooter, attack the rim every once in a while. I think that's the kind of guy you want next to this core that you're building, because you want Denny and Scoot with the ball more than anything at this point. And so let's get some shooting. Let's actually do something where we support the other young guys on the team right now. So we're going to pick Con with this one. All right, on the clock now, the Miami Heat. They're in an interesting spot. They got Tyler Hero, first-time All-Star. Not probably going to be a consistent All-Star, but he's there nonetheless. You got Bam, you got Khalil Ware. That's kind of playing the center now, and Bam's moving into more so the power forward role. Andrew Wiggins is still on the team, but you're probably just taking best player available at this point. But who is best player available? Who would they be interested in developing on this team? It seems like point guard is going to be a big thing for them, and so we take a look at some of those guys like the Jeremiah Fears. I know Demean, however you say it, he does a lot of ball handling, right? The passing's really, really good for him. I still don't think it's good enough to be like NBA good. It does look like it's improving though. It certainly looks like it's improving, even despite some of the lack of athleticism that he's showing. So I think you look at the Jeremiah Fears, and I think you look at Traore. I don't know how to say it. Maybe a Ben Saraf as well. And one thing I like about Traore is he's probably the best playmaker of the group that's left. Like, his assist percentages overseas are crazy right now. He's playing in a really, really elite French league. He's got some good athleticism. It just kind of seems like we have to nail the shot making more so. Like, he's getting to all of his spots, he's just not finishing, and that just feels like a nice guy for the Heat to develop. And by the end of the season, he could be like a starting point guard, because so much of the talent is already there, like defensively and playmaking wise. I think you just put him around guys like Tyler Hero and Bam and Wiggins, guys that just kind of need to get the ball. You're gonna have a couple spacers off the bench. I think we go with Traore here, and call that a good pick. Now the Rockets are on the pick because Phoenix swapped with them. I'm so sorry about that, Phoenix. But anyway, Rockets. Don't you guys have enough young players? Don't you have enough young players? At this point, Steven Adams is off the roster, so you just have Şengün as the center on the team. I guess Landale's still there, but you'd probably prefer not to throw him on the court, so this might be one where you take a center. This might be as far as Derek Queen drops. Do you need a Colin Murray-Boyles? I don't think so. I think they're going to want to go big man here and versatile big. I'm sure they'd like to have a rim protector, but I don't see one within range that you want to take. I don't think you'd jump that far for Sorber. We could take a look around. They could find another wing, but I think they've got kind of enough of those kind of power forward-y type players. I think Amen Thompson's your point guard of the future. If Fred VanVleet's still on the team, cool. It's not a big deal either way. But I think you go with Derek Queen and hope that, because we've done a video on him. By the way, go watch the videos on him. This is my favorite series to do, the Does He Fit in the NBA series. At the time of watching this, the Jeremiah Fears video should be out, and it's already been claimed. So please go watch it, because I'm not going to make any money off it whatsoever. But go show these videos some love. They're my favorite ones to do on the channel, and I think they all tie into this stuff. But we did one on Derek Queen. Wasn't overly impressed. I also discovered, thanks to some of you guys, this guy's actually like 20, I think already. Like, I believe he's already 20 years old, so he's a little bit older than some of the other guys, which it does dampen things a little bit, right? Because that explains some of the bigger size and things, so I don't know. I didn't see elite athleticism, elite playmaking. He's got really good hands, and he's really timely with things, so I think it's worth a shot with the 12th pick. So I think you just take the size right here and move on. All right, Dallas. What do you do now? What do you do now? Cry is what you do, Dallas. Cry. Cry, sit in a corner, and wait for it to be over. I'd just not want to be a fan for the next, 10 years. I'm so sorry. Kyrie Irving's out for most of next season. Who knows who your point guard's going to be? We'll see if Klay Thompson sticks around. We'll see if Anthony Davis sticks around. I don't know. You don't need a center. You've got Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford. Do you go with a Demean or something like that? I don't know. Do you want someone that can at least put the ball on the floor a little bit? Maybe. I don't know. Again, this is a guy that really needs the ball to be successful, and I guess there's going to be nobody to take the ball from him right now. They could go Saraf as well, who's been playing pretty solid in a pretty competitive league as well. Probably more of a 2 than a point guard, in my opinion, up to this point, but I, I don't know. He could be a point guard long term. It's hard to say. That's a tough one. I've just kind of been looking down the roster and I'm like, okay, they've got Max Christie, who I think they're going to be interested in. Like, you've got the Caleb Martin, Najee Marshall, but like, we just don't even know the direction of this team. So are they just picking for upside more than anything else? Because then maybe they just go with Jeremiah Fears and say, hey, he's really, really young. Again, we did the video on him. We weren't too high on him by the end of the video, but again, we're not going to be too high on a ton of people because not that many people turn into all-stars, right? But he is a younger guy, does have some sneaky athleticism to him. It's not a high level of athleticism, though, and the jumper looks like it could be something. So I think we go for potential here more than anything else and hope that we can develop him into something, and we go with Jeremiah Fears. Ooh, Atlanta Hawks up next. What do the Hawks do going forward? You've got this interesting group of maybe a center going forward in Onyeka Okongwu, right? You got Jalen Johnson on the team, Karis LeVert, Trae Young, Dyson Daniels, obviously a big part of what they're doing now. They traded Hunter, but they have Risache, so there's not like an obvious fit. They could use another ball handler on the team for when Trey's not in the game. Is this where you go with the Demean? Maybe to try to distribute to all the other guys that you have on the team. But Jalen Johnson likes to have the ball a little bit. We'd like to see Risache have the ball a little bit. Maybe it is a Colin Murray-Boyles time at this point. Obviously, we're not the highest on him. We kind of see him as a Julius Randle type guy. He's a good passer. He's a big body. Could play small ball 5, maybe if you really needed him to, if you want to just have kind of a screen setter, but he doesn't pop, and that's part of the problem with him. But maybe they just want more of a veteran presence. Like, I say that as a guy that's been in the league 1 year more than, or in college 1 year longer than everybody else. I don't necessarily think so. Maybe what they do is they go get somebody that has shown that he can play without the ball a little bit more, in Rasheer Fleming. That I could see, and I could see him rising in the draft boards as you get to see him play more 5-on-5. I like that one a lot. Let's not keep him waiting anymore. Let's give him the lottery pick. Rasheer Fleming, welcome to the Atlanta Hawks. And again, go watch the video on it. Where is it? There. It's doing pretty good in terms of views, so I think it's worth a watch. Orlando Magic, you guys need a shooter. Jesus Christ, you need a shooter. Could be Demean. Could be maybe accurate passer. That's kind of what he's doing more. So we don't need anybody else that has the ball, though. Saraf? Could it be Saraf? Do we have a 3-point percentage on him right now? I know he makes a lot of like tough shots, and that I think that's cool. He's got the good float game, good switching on screens, good handle. This is just a random person, by the way. Do we have a 3-point percentage on Ben Saraf? Ben Saraf stats. Let's go and pull him up, because why not? Where's Ben Saraf at this current point in the season? 3-point. Ooh, not falling right now. Okay. You guys need a shooter, something serious. Boogie Fland is not your answer there. Jace Richardson. I could see them picking a Jace Richardson, honestly. I really, really could. Is there someone else that we're missing that could go a little higher? Not necessarily. Jace Richardson feels like it could be the pick for them. They could use some guard help. We did the video on him. Don't think too highly of him necessarily, but this isn't an AVC draft. This is him saying where he thinks people will go based off of what he thinks people will do. So this isn't a guy I necessarily would want to pick, but I think they would pick a Jace Richardson here and just say, the shot making and stuff is cool. He's a big time scorer at the college level. Let's pick him up and add him to the squad. Maybe he's our point guard of the future. I wouldn't be excited about it, but hey, there we go. All right, Spurs back on the clock. All right, and we've already taken McNeeley with the 9th pick, right? We addressed the forward spot. Igor still on the roster. Ben Saraf still here as well, or still on the board. This feels like a Spurs pick where they go and take Ben Saraf, a guy that's shown that he can do quite a bit internationally and at the pro level. They love guys like this, guys that are real pros. So I don't think they overthink this one too much. I think they take Saraf at the guard spot. And they say, hey, hopefully this is our future Manu Ginobili, right? So go ahead and pick him there. And the Thunder are back on the clock. They just took their big. Do they take a risk maybe now? They've got so many ball handlers on this team because they have Topic and Dylan Jones, who were first-round picks the year before as well. Do they do it, or do they go sizable wing with Essengue? I think that one's maybe more so, because Essengue looks like more of a project, and they've got the capacity to take on a project. They don't really have that sizable wing. I think they go and take Essengue here, who actually had some pretty good games as of late as well. So I think they go ahead and take him there. I'm going to try to speed this up a little bit so that you guys aren't waiting for forever. Timberwolves. You're not taking Colin Murray-Boyles, and you're not taking Boogie Fland. You basically already have these guys in Rob Dillingham and Julius Randle. Do you go get the center? Potentially a defensive-minded center to kind of back up Rudy. That could be kind of interesting. They still have a Evan Turner cap hold. Interesting. Do you go get another ball handler in Demean now? Maybe. I know it feels like he's falling quite a bit with this one, but I don't think he's actually going to go that crazy high. So I just don't necessarily see it. What do they do here? I think looking at this, I think it comes down to either Sorber, maybe Demean, because they just want a lengthier guy that can handle the rock a little bit more, be more of a distributor. Because, look, they just don't have an obvious option, right? They've got Mike Conley, you got DiVincenzo, you got Ant. Rob Dillingham's not necessarily setting up everybody else for success. I'd like to have Terrence Shannon with the ball a little bit as well, but maybe we just say this is an interesting type of player and we go with him just 'cause. Maybe we don't have a type of player like this, and we just don't have a ton of ball handling, so sure, you know what, let's take him. Let's take Demean here. Jazz, back on the clock. They've already taken, hopefully, a future star in VJ Edgecombe, and they've got a couple second-round picks as well. What do? Has John Collins been moved at this point? Potentially. They've got a lot of forward help, so I don't think Colin Murray-Boyles is going here necessarily. I just don't really see that. You don't probably need another guard. Is this where you go with a Sorber, or do you kind of take another wing, because the wing position is something that you're just kind of desperately looking for, because Cody Williams hasn't looked great this year, and after that, you're kind of waiting, right? You just don't have much else there. So I think what you do is you go for the Hugo Gonzalez and you say, okay, we haven't gotten to see him play a ton of minutes, but we've seen enough of the athleticism and potentially shot making and the change of speed ability to say, okay, let's go with that. Let's take Hugo. It's the 19th pick. Why the hell not? Take Hugo Gonzalez. Miami Heat on the board now. Okay. My voice is starting to go. I'm getting sick. So they've already taken Traore. They've already taken Traore. By the way, this is Golden State's pick, technically. So we're playing with house money right now. Do we want to add another young potential ball handler to this group? We could. We very well could. I don't think a Boogie Fland is necessarily it. My thought was a Will Riley, a guy that's shown he can be like an athletic ball handling wing. I could see it because, again, we don't have a ton of that necessarily. You got Wiggins, then after that, you get kind of more into the skilled wings of the Jaime Jaquez, the Haywood Highsmiths, Duncan Robinson. I think maybe they take the risk on a Will Riley right here, and yeah, I like that. Two potential ball handlers going into this draft. Hopefully a guy that can space the floor a little bit, show a little bit of athleticism. I hope he's not the Keyshawn George type. We need to add more to the playmaking, but we'll see. I like that pick for them. The Pacers are on the clock now. They've got so many forwards on the roster. I don't think there's a great need to move Obi Toppin. I feel like they need a wing. They could probably also use like one more point guard if you plan on playing where is he? Nembhard with Halliburton. I could see that. Do they take a Murray-Boyles and move on from an Obi Toppin and try to get some wing help? That could also be the solution. Maybe we have to assume that they do that and they say, okay, we'll go get a guy that's a little bit more of a post-up-y type player. It's hard to say. It's really hard to say. They could probably also use some center help as well coming off the bench, huh? You know what? Yeah, let's not overcomplicate this. They take Sorber here. They were so desperate to find centers. I think they'll just be happy with the 21st pick and having a defensive-minded center being here. Even if he's not like the highest level athlete. Again, go watch this video here if you're curious about him. But they're going to take Sorber with this one. All right. Now we get into all the Brooklyn Nets picks, and my voice continues to go, but I'm going to power through for you guys because we're just doing the first round anyway. I think you took somebody here in Dylan Harper that's hopefully going to be your best player. Now you just go for best player available again because you're that desperate. I think this is where you take the Murray-Boyles and you just move on. He's very skilled, got a lot of size, doesn't step out and hit, but maybe can be a post-up threat for you on a team like this. Let's not overcomplicate it. Let's take Murray-Boyles. And we've got another pick right here, the 23rd pick in the draft as well. Don't need a Boogie Fland, don't really need another guard. Do they go for the skilled wing or maybe the skilled big man? Potentially, right? So there's the Danny Wolf, who I'm going to do a breakdown on like almost all these guys at some point. You've seen a little bit of the ball handling and the skill and the passing and the shooting. Cool. Thiero, you just see this like really athletic, sizable wing that you're like, ooh, that could be kind of fun. Carter Bryant is another one that maybe has a lot of potential. I could see that one. You probably don't go like an Alex Karaban because you kind of just had a type of pick like that in Murray-Boyles. Who do we want with this? There's also Cam Jones, who's more of a scoring guard. Again, I kind of see him as a point guard, but we might just need all the point guard help we can get, so maybe we just feel good about taking a more mature point guard at this point to support the rest of the roster. But you know what? We're swinging for potential, right? At this point, we're just trying to take some swings right now. We think we feel good about Dylan Harper. We did a safe pick. Let's go with more of a swing. Let's go with Carter Bryant here and hope he enters the draft. Hope that the little bit we've seen of him can translate to the NBA. So we are going to go with this one. Now we got the Wizards back up. They've already taken Ace Bailey. Who else are we picking at this point? The point guard spot it's needed, right? You need a little bit of help here. Do you go and take a Boogie Fland and say like, hey, you don't need to be great right now anyway, coming back from injury. We've got other guys that can kind of handle the rock. I don't necessarily love the idea of him as a long-term point guard solution, but maybe he becomes kind of a backup scoring guard, right? And I mean, it's the 24th pick, so it doesn't have to be something phenomenal, right? You've got your center and Alex Sarr. You got Koulibaly at the wing. I think you take the guard, so maybe you take another swing at upside and you just go with Boogie Fland. I think that's an appropriate one there. The Nets, back on the clock. All right, is Duron Sharp, is his contract done at this point? I'm just curious to see like what's going on with his contract. So the team could opt out of him. I don't see necessarily a reason to do so, but you could if you needed to. Noah Clowney's still a guy you probably want to give a chance to. So I'm not sure Danny Wolf necessarily goes here. I don't think it's Philon really either. Do you go with another safe pick, or is there somebody down here that you could take more of a swing on? Drake Powell was obviously a really high guy going in, and he's fallen a little bit more. I'm just taking a look through to see if there's other names that we're kind of missing. I know Bethea, some people have said could be a first-round guy. Anybody else that I'm really missing? You guys know I like Zakarsky a lot. I don't think he would actually go that high. A Dink Pate could be interesting. We've seen Byard or Bird, however you say it, go this high. You've seen Nick Clifford go in the first round in a lot of mocks. I know somebody told me how to say his name, and it's because it's not Johnny. It's something else. But we'll just call him Broome. We're just going to call him Broome. I don't really like the Philon pick. It just seems to overlap with Dylan Harper. What are we doing here? Do we take the big? Maybe we just take the skilled big and try to have some fun with it. Let's take Danny Wolf. Move on. Let's take the big man while he's there. Orlando. Oh boy, you guys have another pick, huh? You guys need some shooting. Where can we find you some shooting? It's not really going to be in the form of a Nick Clifford. I know Byard can handle the ball a little bit. We're not that excited about it, though. Man, you guys have so many bigs. Do you just take the chance on Philon? Do you? Very accurate passer. Again, it kind of feels like an Anthony Black pick. Doesn't, like, I know he's not like super athletic or anything either. Do you take a chance on an Ian Jackson? Man, this would be a horrible draft, I feel like, if you walked away with Jace Richardson and Ian Jackson. But maybe you say one of them has to work, right? I don't feel great about Jace Richardson. Maybe a little bit better about an Ian Jackson. Kind of plays pretty sporadic. He wants to go score the basketball. He's going to create something, right? Positions himself well to help a player in transition. Speedy, yep, good catch and shoot player with lots of range. Yeah, I feel like you have to just for the chance at it and hope one of them works out. So there you go, Orlando. That's the next guy you're getting. Hawks are back on. They've already taken Rasheer Fleming. Now I think we go with more of the veteran, maybe potential ball handler in a Cam Jones here. I feel good about that one. I like that. The Celtics. They're on the clock now. This feels like a Broome pick, potentially. I think adding a big to this roster, as Al Horford's pretty old at this point. Who knows which of the other backup bigs will be on the team long term. I think Broome could play NBA minutes right away, so we're going to send him over to the Celtics. Clippers on the clock now. Where do we want to go? Maybe at the point guard spot. Maybe this is where you take more of a Philon. I could see that. Yeah, let's go with, I don't think it's actually pronounced Philon. I watch these games on mute, man, so just leave me alone. I'd say we take the younger guard here with a little bit more playmaking in him. Let's go with that one. And then the 30th pick for the Suns. Jeez, what do you guys do? Presuming that Booker is still here. Beal's probably still here. I can't imagine Durant is here at this point. You're going to have a center in Nick Richards. Do you swing a little bit more and take the Dink Pate? He needs the ball to probably be successful. Is there anybody else that I'm really missing here that is more of a swing for the fences? Or do you want to just try to stay competitive with Booker and Beal? So maybe we just add the athletic wing and go from there. Is that what we do? I don't love that pick. Maybe we go Neat Clifford. I'd like a little bit more size. Byard needs the ball. Pate needs the ball a little bit. Drake Powell. No, let's go with Thiero. And I think that right there will conclude our mock draft. So here it is. There's the mock draft that I did. My opinions are going to change. Let me say that right now for all of you in the comments saying, oh, what about this? What about this? Shut up. Just shut up, all right? I'm sick, and I'm getting this video out for you because I thought it would be fun. Let's have a little bit of imagination. We have no idea what the teams are going to look like, but I want to have a little fun today. Going forward with these mock drafts, we'll go back to Bleacher Report for a little bit, and we'll actually start analyzing the fit of players on certain teams at this point because I do think it's about that time to start having that conversation, and we'll go from there. But anyway, I appreciate you guys for watching. Stay tuned for the comments of the video. All right, question of the video comes from one trade every NBA team wishes it could make right now. Just a reminder, I'm recording this on 3/10. I'm trying to get ahead because it's a busy week for me, and it's actually a question I haven't responded to so far, and it's from Bonke? I don't know how to say your name. You have a funny profile picture, though. He said, question, Mr. AVC, please. No, it's not my father's name either. If you had to pick the MVP today, who would you pick? Personally, I would pick my King Shaded Sharp. I didn't actually read the rest of his comments. I just read the beginning part. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Being serious, I find it hard to pick anyone not named Jokic. I mean, he is the only reason the Nuggets are competitive, and him off and on the court are two entirely different teams. Would love to hear your opinion. Yeah, I tend to side the same way. Shea is so deserving of it. He is. And if you want to name him MVP, and you do, I don't hate you. I just have to clap it up for him. But I think the better part of my brain just says, I know Jokic is the best player. Like, Shea gets the opportunity to do anything he wants scoring-wise, and that's awesome. Jokic literally does everything at an elite level. Literally everything, besides maybe dunk the basketball and smile. Those are the only things he doesn't do elite, right? But I don't know. I love Jokic. I think he's probably the guy, but I think voter fatigue will get in the way, which I think is so stupid. Like, I think it's so stupid. I wish there was a more, like, concrete way to do things, but it's awards at the end of the day. I'm not going to trip about it too much, and I know Jokic isn't going to trip about it too much. But hey, make sure you guys go leave me a comment. As you can see, I've got plenty of them to respond to, and as always, I respond to all of them, so I will get to them. But hey, appreciate you guys for watching and choosing my channel, because you can choose a lot of them, but you chose mine, so thanks. I appreciate that. I am going to go be sick now and work on my laptop, but I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks so much.